Video game news we have.
I guess we should get into the video game news. We got some. Thankfully, we do not have a direct to break down. So we got that going for us. But hey,
we might actually finish on time for once.
We might. But we have to talk about Nintendo doing the one thing they really didn't need to do, and like there was no reason for them to step on this rake. They pulled a Don Mattrick.
They didn't just step on the rake. They like went off a ramp, did a backflip, and boomed right on it.
So, okay, who wants to read this? What happened here?
So, in an interview with oh, sorry, go ahead, Duncan. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to read the quote. Read the quote.
Read the quote. I want to hear it directly.
As we look at Nintendo Switch 2 and you think about the feature sets that I talked about, we believe that the pricing is appropriate for the value of the machine and the gameplay experience overall. We recognize there are some people that may not be able to afford the Nintendo Switch 2 price point. That's why we wanted to make the other Switch platforms available, so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, to be a part of these characters in these worlds, and see value, if you will, in whatever rung of the platform they come in.
Okay.
And this is Doug Bowser, president of Nintendo of America, talking to CBC Canada.
You have to give him a little credit. He was nicer about Pores Get Out than Don Mattrick, who back in the day said, quote, "We have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360." During the release of the Xbox One.
This was a lot more flowery than that. I will give you that.
There are
it was,
two.
It was more PR trained.
Yeah, first of all, sounds nicer. There isn't this attitude about it, and then there's the bit of context that like amplifies what Mattrick did and sort of subdues what Doug Bowser did. Which with Don Mattrick, it was like this was after a conference of like, this is your friggin' TV box. This is going to be the most amazing thing. Yeah. And in 2013, we're getting rid of physical. We're going in. And so just having all that happen all at once, really bad. Whereas in this one, it's like Nintendo just showed off an amazing console. It was a great show. Yeah. And it wasn't like something crazy. The price, while higher, it was not outlandish. This was not a PS3 $600 moment. Partially because they didn't include it in their conference, but you know.
I think that the price on this thing is like, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's like, it's not that bad. Like relative to where inflation has gone and the tech in the system, it is not that bad.
I think a lot of the conversation around price isn't really about the console, other than tariffs possibly affecting it. A lot of that's around the games themselves. But
yes, yeah, and even then, like, I've had this conversation with multiple people in the comments of that new editorial I did, which is, I would rather pay $80 for some product that like Nintendo makes, which is finished and polished and isn't filled with microtransactions and bullshit, than $70 for a game that has all that.
Yeah.
So
I'll say about this statement, as you mentioned, the context is obviously much better than when Xbox had their nightmare statement occur. I remember back in the day, I was a 14-year-old Xbox fanboy at the time. And even I,
as most 14-year-old American boys are,
right, even I understood that the Xbox One was just, everything that was being said about it was a series of bad statements that were just like, like, oh yeah, you don't need physical games. And then they just gave PlayStation the gimme of having that ad where they just go, this is how you share games on PlayStation, and they just hand each other a game.
Amazing.
And that in combination with the Xbox One isn't for the poors. The 360 is for the poors. uh, being the vibe of that statement. This, on the other hand, like you said, they're coming in with just a bunch of fire from an incredible announcement. Even though there is a lot of worry about price point, so that he was really gentle about saying, "We've already made a bunch of consoles for poor people. You don't need the fancy console because we gave you the poor person console. Go buy a Switch Lite."
I mean, like, also, we all know it, assuming the world economy doesn't get ruined.
Yeah.
Like, let's pretend the external stuff is kind of just because we don't know what's happening.
Right.
We really don't, and we
Nope.
can't. And it's so wild, we can't prognosticate on it. So I'm like, all right, well, I have to assume things are going to stay in a certain range of stable.
Yeah.
Assuming that happens, like the price on this thing is going to come down. They're obviously trying to still juice some Switch One numbers while they still can.
Yeah.
And I think, and it that console is still selling well. The thing still sold a shit ton of units last year, and is still selling a shit ton of units this year. So I think that, yeah, they're gonna juice another year or two out of Switch One, and then cut price on Switch Two, assuming that they don't get absolutely annihilated by external factors.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that, and I don't think Sony is the best comparison for this back in 2006, but the PS2 was in a very similar situation where the PS2 sold 155 million units and was still being sold 4 years or 3 years into the PS3's life.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that there's that.
Well, and then what this is all about, what the controversy is, like, obviously there's, sounding like Don Mattrick, which, like, if you have any understanding of like the history of this industry, that was one thing you really needed to avoid.
Yeah.
But like this is all about the price of the games. This is what all the sensitivities around. And it's like in the week that we've been, doing our thing since last podcast, I'm sitting here thinking, like, honestly, like the raised price of games, I don't think is going to affect Nintendo very much. Where it's going to hurt is people are going to be a lot more conservative with their full price purchases, which means Nintendo first parties, and it will actually impact people outside that decide to make the move to $80 or $90, and that'll affect the larger industry.
So I can only look at my own buying habits. And for me, what ended up happening with the move to $70, because at $60, I was buying games like crazy. I'd buy like any AAA game I was remotely interested in. Extra $10 ended up making it so I stopped buying yearly franchises, especially at full price. Like I only buy COD about every other year, sometimes every 3 years after that. No. And then I also wait till Black Friday to play Madden because it's usually half off on Black Friday. I have stopped taking chances on blob games. Like I didn't buy Hogwarts Legacy at all. I was like, I can wait. So, and I like think about, if ever the industry goes to $80. Then the games I am spending $80 are going to mainly focus on sure bets, which is going to be like the tippy top of my like developers and publishers I trust. Like I'll pay $80 for a Capcom game. I'll fucking pay $80 for a Capcom game every fucking time. I'll pay $80 for a Nintendo game. But like when you trot out like, Black Myth Wukong, even if it looks cool, it's like, I don't know who these guys are. This is a new game. I've never heard of these people. I'm not gonna blow $80 on this. Like
it needs to be extremely your thing just from like looking at it, or else you're not very inclined to waste that money.
Right, like exactly. Like if they were to put out, Tides of Annihilation looks right up my alley. It looks super cool. If it was $80, I'd probably just wait for a sale. So then, and I am like that kind of consumer that is willing to blow a lot of money on video games.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for a more conservative consumer who is a little more choosy, this basically just makes it so they only buy their absolute favorites. Like they're
Such
not
as
going to take chances.
me. I'm that consumer.
Yeah.
I very rarely buy AAA games nowadays. I play a lot of indie titles and a lot of titles that I've bought in the past. I think the only AAA game I've purchased in the last year is Monster Hunter Wilds, and I literally can't even think of the last one I purchased before that.
Right.
I generally try and stick to things that I know I have a good relationship with, and if I look at all my past played games, I really only have Monster Hunter Wilds in all of my recent games on Steam.
Yeah.
As a AAA games purchase. So I have to be very persuaded by a game having had a lot of history with Monster Hunter is what does it for me there, right? It's that I know it's probably going to be a good game. I've played all the other Monster Hunter games to some extent since 3. So I'm obviously going to end up playing Wilds, but you give me there was that gimmick series, not gimmick series, that mimic series that was very much like Monster Hunter, that was an anime game. I'm not going to jump $60 on that because I don't have an existing relationship with that I know that I'm going to get some value out of it, whereas I could just go play Noita or Minecraft.
Yeah.
This also benefits free to play games in a lot of ways. Because I love Marvel Rivals, right? Like I've been playing Marvel Rivals pretty consistently since it came out. Came out in December. I have 260 hours in that fucking game.
Yeah.
And if I see bullshit EA AAA game is $80, or I can just keep playing Marvel Rivals for free. I'm gonna keep playing Marvel Rivals for free.
Exactly.
Out of curiosity, I looked at my top 10 games of last year. Half of that list is AAA, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, which of these would I pay $80 for? Metaphor ReFantazio, yes. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, no, I'd wait for a sale. Indiana Jones, maybe. Maybe. I played it on Game Pass, so it's really hard to tell, for me, the value. I did love the game, though. Infinite Wealth, absolutely. Tekken 8, absolutely. Astrobot is kind of a double A, and I'd pay $80 for that. But, I would not pay, I'd still pay $80 for some AAA games, but it has to be, so in my wheelhouse and up my alley that that's what I would want to do. It's not. Yeah.
A streamer Northern Lion recently had a good take on this subject that I would point to. That he said, if the world was fair, and games were priced on how great they are, then a game like Star Wars Outlaws or something would be like $150, and Balatro would be $500.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I have said for a while now that I think a variable price structure makes sense. I think that I think that Sony put out Astrobot at 60 instead of 70 last year. Probably because they think it's a smaller scale experience. I think that if publishers want to start exploring variable pricing, which it seems that's what Nintendo's doing, I think that's actually a great idea.
It's going to be
I
interesting
think that
going forward because people are going to follow Nintendo's lead on these game prices, and it's going to be very interesting to see how everyone spreads their money around and what lessons the industry takes from it.
I am just looking to see what studios are super delusional.
Right.
That's what I want to see. I want to see how delusional are Ubisoft and EA.
I'm curious. I'm just I'm worried about the after effects of all of it, but the process of going through the finding out part will be fun.
Yeah, like that, because like at the end of the day, it doesn't like affect me too much because like I know what games I really want to enjoy and like and whatnot, and I have a shit ton of indies. And if I'm being completely honest, if I were to I could honestly live as a gamer on my back catalog for probably 3 to 4 years.
Oh yeah, yep.
Uh,
It's just a bit of a pain for the younger crowd, younger and poorer. So,
yes.
yeah. Hey, Doug Bowser, you should go watch that conference with Don Mattrick and watch him get yeeted to Zynga and now who knows where. Because
I'm sure he has a bajillion dollars.
He's got like 20-something Ferraris in his garage, whatever, somewhere where he is. Like he made a lot of money.
He has to take a
closing
helicopter
down
to work.
Yeah, he's got
Don Mattrick.
Yeah, he got plenty of money for acquiring and then shutting down studios. That's just real good guy.
Apparently, he works like he was at Zynga for a long time and then became a co-founder and co-president of a privately held company that manages assets.
Okay,
like that's what he's been up to.
Pivoted full finance.
Sure.
Or no, apparently he's always been part of this. So like ever since 1991, while doing all this other shit, he's been in a group that manages assets throughout North America, mostly high-tech ventures such as Photonic, Nordeus, and Dapper Labs.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yep. So, but yeah, after Zynga, he just like disappeared. So he left Xbox in 2013, spent 2 years at Zynga, did that documentary that Xbox did in 2021, and then just hasn't been seen since. On that documentary, he said the Xbox One reveal event was too focused on TV features, and he could have assured people better they cared about video games.
Yeah,
could have done that. He could have.
Just real quick, remember when Zynga ruled the world? Like Zynga was the company for a while.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, for like
Farmville.
It was Farmville,
wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, they had like Mafia Wars and Farmville. They had a bunch of Facebook games.
Facebook games were the thing. That was such a weird time. Anyway, well,
that escapist bracket was the funniest thing in the world in hindsight.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Trying to explain that to people now would be just ridiculous.
I just love how that there is like a 10-year period of the internet where if you tried to explain it to people, it would be like a fever dream.
Yeah. Yo, dog, I want to talk to you about Infinity Blade.
I played Infinity Blade, and it's in Fortnite.
Is it in Fortnite?
Yeah, because they made Infinity Blade.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
It's one of the super weapons that you're able to find during certain seasons. It's always been there, like since season 1.
It's an epic game, right? It's an epic franchise.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Under them.
Damn, good for them. All right,
that's legacy. A Fortnite weapon.
So next news story.